Hi, it's Michelangelo Caruso. I'm helping salespeople make more money, decrease the sales cycle, shorten the sales cycle, and also just have more fun and less stress while working. I want to help you with a special close called the I'll think it over close. It's prompted when the client says something to you like, I'll have to think it over. Now, I want to teach you to do something I call listening between the words. When you listen between the words, you're sending a much different signal to the audience or to the prospect, and you're getting much different signals from the prospect. You're listening to what they're really saying instead of what the words come out of their mouth. The words that come out of their mouth sound like this: I'll have to think it over. But if you read between those words, if you listen between those words, you'll hear, you didn't provide enough value to me. That's one option. And I'll show you how to deal with that in a second. The second option that might have happened when they say, I'll have to think it over, is that they don't have to think it over at all. You've been dismissed. And I don't know a salesperson that hasn't had this happen to them where they just know they're being shown the door in a polite way. They're not going to think it over. They're not going to call you back on Monday. They're not even going to spend another second with your proposal after you leave the room. They are done. And the reason they are done is because you didn't provide enough value during the presentation. You didn't capture their attention, capture their imagination, and get a psychological commitment from them. You didn't trial close before you went into the real close. You didn't ferret out all of their legitimate questions. You didn't answer all of their questions. And for some reason, some laces were untied, and now you are out of pocket. You're not even in the running anymore. And shame on you for not picking up those signals earlier. But if you should get to this part of the program, all is not lost. You can still win over the client if you use this technique. So the technique for this I'll have to think it over close is a very calculated response on your part. The response comes out in measured tones. I want you to listen to the words I use. I want you to listen to the space between the words I use when I reply to the prospect. So the prospect says, I'll have to think it over. And you lean forward and do not repeat what they just said. You don't want to repeat negative words or replay negative energy into the presentation. So you just nod your head. They say, I'll have to think it over. You lean forward. You nod your head like this. Wait for them to talk a little bit more if they want to. Maybe they'll tell you why they need to think it over. But if they don't, you're going to ask. And here is exactly how I want you to ask. You're going to say exactly like this. I see. Tell me, what is it exactly that you need to think over? I'll repeat it. I see. What is it exactly that you need to think over? Or you could say, what is it that you need to think over exactly? So do you hear the pause? The pause is a setup to accent the word exactly because you need to know the exact objection. Heck, at this point you need any kind of objection at all because I'll think it over is a non-objection. And that's why this shuts down so many salespeople. If they object, you can deal with it because they say, well, I have to have delivery on Thursday. And you say, let's talk. They say, I have to have it in brown. You say, let's talk. But if they say, I have to think it over, it doesn't even make sense for you to say, let's talk, because they've dismissed you. Mentally, you are gone. Sayonara. So what I'm asking you to do is reopen the dialogue with this magic phrase. What is it exactly that you need to think about? And if they're listening between the words, what they'll come up with on their end is that apparently I didn't provide enough value for you in my presentation. Give me another chance at it and I'll see if I can do better. Because that's exactly what you're going to try to do. Now, when you push back and try to get them to tell you what it is, their first official statement, I'll bet you all the money in my front left pocket, will be, well, nothing specific, nothing exact, I just need time to think about it. That's what they'll say. And that's the biggest lie ever told. There's an exact reason why they haven't placed their order. They might not know what it is, but together I'll bet you could figure it out in about 10 seconds. So the reason they haven't placed their order is one of two reasons. It's either price related or it's not price related. Let's deal with it as not being price related first. You say, what is it exactly that you need to think about? And they say, well, nothing in particular. Or they say finally, you get them to talk about, well, it's the price, well, it's the conditions of delivery, well, it's the this, the this, the this. And then you can go to work on the objection, you can retrial close, you can reclose, and you've got a deal. The tricky one is when it's a price objection and they won't confess. Here's how you get them to confess. You say, what is it exactly that you have to think about? And they say, oh, nothing in particular, nothing, they won't give you anything to work with. And then you lean forward even more. Watch my face. You lean forward even more and you say, is it the money? Just like that. Quiet tone. Softly, almost if it, confide in me. I'll help you. You can tell Michael. This kind of an approach. So I lean in, watch. So I say, what is it exactly that you need to think about? And they say, oh, nothing in particular. And you say, is it the money? Just like that. Is it the money? You might even nod your head to get some encouragement or get some agreement from them. If they tell you it's the money, there you go. You got your price objection. Now you can go to work on the number and try to figure out what number would work for them. You might even fall back on the compared to what strategy that I outlined in one of the other sales tips. So, when someone says to you, I'll have to think about it, 90% of the time they don't have to think about it. You are dead in the water because you haven't proven enough value to them. They've either got some other bids on the table, they've got to have some other competition coming in to give them presentations, or they've even already decided and you're out of the running. They just don't have the courage to tell you. Do not leave that room before you utter the defense statement, which is, what is it exactly that you need to think about? And once you open up dialogue again with that conversation, you'll be back in the running. My name is Michael Angelo Caruso. This is another sales tip from RoleModelSelling.com. I hope that this tip has been helpful for you, and I hope to see you on another video.